Eighth graders, welcome to your pod lesson for it's going to be Thursday the 21st tomorrow. I'm filming this Wednesday afternoon before I go home. And because I'm ready to go home, I think we'll make this quick, shall we? So, at the conclusion of last week, we were actually more than halfway through the school year. And I wanted to just let you guys know that really I'm pretty proud of what we've accomplished so far as a school and a school district, that we've been able to stay in school this whole year. Many other districts and places across the country were not able to do that. And I'm really impressed with the fact that 99% of you guys, when we said, hey, no one loves masks, no one loves the fact that some people have had to switch lunches and we won't have skills, which was tough, and assemblies and field trips. But I feel like so many of you guys have kept a good attitude, and you've worn the mask, even though it's not super fun, to protect others for the greater good. Really impressed with all of you guys. Okay, we have a small percentage that wants to fight us on those things, but as teachers, we try to focus on the positive, and we know that most of you guys have done great, and we're halfway, more than halfway there. This is your guys' last year here, so we won't see you next year. But we feel like school in general and life in general will be able to be a little bit back to normal, hopefully soon. So thank you so much for all you've done so far this year, and let's make it a good second half of the year as well. All right. On Monday, we had school off, as you know. Hopefully you did something fun. Oops, I skipped forward. Let me do that and move my face. And so I just wanted to remind you, maybe you talked about it in class, but the legacy of MLK. We think often about the quotes from the I Have a Dream and his goal of a more just and free society for people of all races. And he helped us make incredible progress in the 60s in the civil rights movement. It's still an ongoing struggle for sure. But I liked his quotes that I found here about the purpose of education is to think intensively and critically. I love that. As teachers, we're trying to get past the days of just memorizing information and helping you guys know how to apply that to the world around you, your lives, how to think critically about those things. And he also reminds us that no matter how much critical thinking and book smarts or academic knowledge you may have, it's nothing without character. That's why we make these pod videos. That's why we try to care about what kind of person you are. Okay, certainly your families are the primary goal for that and the role of helping you be a better person, but hopefully we can supplement that. And then MLK has a great short quote here that says the time is always right to do right, or always ripe, to do right. So if you have something in the back of your mind that you're like, I should have done that, should have done this, okay, act on that. All right, because you may look back and say I had an opportunity to do some good, and that's what he was all about, doing some good. All right, so those are some things to keep in mind. Another lesson today about decision 3 out of our 6 decisions that you will have to make in your teen years that will really change your life. So we talked about school and friends, and we've been talking lately about those parentals at home, those folks. And remember my weekly reminder about these things. We use parents as shorthand for whoever the adults are that help you out at home. Parents, guardians, everybody's family is important and sometimes different. So we talked about last week, our first real lesson after the we had one lesson about kind of took a quiz about how we're doing, but we talked about relationship bank accounts, which is a Covey habit we've talked about several times, or concept, that the more deposits you put in a relationship, like a piggy bank, the relationship will be that much stronger. So I put pictures thinking I would remember all these little tips he gave you from last time, but I don't always remember them. Honesty, right? Honest Abe there, that honesty will always be the best policy. Try to think of what's important. They're big rocks. Use the important magic words like please, thank you, and an occasional I love you, right? Try to be helpful, especially with siblings, which can be very nice. Remember small things like birthdays and chances to do something kind for them, and be open with them. So this is, if you fess up and take responsibility, it'll always get better, but keep them as part of your life and don't conceal, because secrets from parents generally catch up to you. All right. So today's topic is when the parents, are not perfect. And man, we are not perfect. So Sean outlines 5 different ways that they may be driving you crazy. And we've talked about, I think, last year, and you guys probably don't remember, but the middle school years are this time of kind of separation, okay, that you are leaving the nest or preparing to leave the nest. You're not 18 yet. But as a little kid, you probably thought your parents were pretty cool, and you thought your dad was strong and your mom was super nice. Maybe you didn't, I don't know. But those feelings start to change as you become more independent and want to spend more time with your friends. So there may be times where you're like, oh my gosh, dad, or oh my gosh, mom. So we're going to talk about these 5 ways. And some of them are more serious than others, but we'll just jump right in so we can wrap this up. All right. And I did want to remind you that as parents, being in control at home, you don't always have a say in being able to change your parents. You just don't. All you can focus on is yourself. But as we always remind you with habit one, to be proactive and focus on your circle of control. Even if you can't control them, you can't influence the situation. So if you're dealing with some of these things, how you react to it, how you treat your parents can widen your scope of influence. If you're always thinking, oh, woe is me, right? Your circle of influence really shortens or shrinks, excuse me. So if you have any of these problems, just try to react in I don't know, sometimes we use the word positive too much, but really make the best of a situation. Okay, so what are we talking about here? Well, maybe it's a comparison issue. And we were just talking with sixth graders about comparison can be like a tumor that really can get inside of a situation. So this happens if your parents sometimes say, "Oh, you drive me crazy. Why can't you be more like your sister, brother, cousin, whatever?" In Sean's book, it said sometimes it's either even people like friends or something. Okay, very annoying. I didn't get that very much. I'm not sure why I'm getting all squiggly there. I'm going to keep going though. Probably because I've mentioned this before, but my older brothers were. Not somebody my mom wanted me to be like anyway. So this was not a problem for me, but I definitely have heard of it before. Why? Why would they do that? Okay, why would they be comparing you to a sibling like the Weasleys over there? They may just be trying to motivate you, try to get you to do better. Okay, and sometimes maybe I don't know if I can explain this, but I thought about it this morning that parenting is hard, and if they have like an older brother or sister, that's what they know. That's how they helped. That's who they've raised so far. So they may be maybe still getting to know you a little bit. So give it time. How to deal with this? If it's once or twice, I know that can be hard. We all want our parents' love. But if you feel like it's become a pattern and you can't brush it off, I would say be assertive. Now, if you're aggressive as a communicator with yelling or attitude towards your parents, that doesn't go super well. But if you clearly, without being passive, explain your feelings and say, hey, you know what? Sure, Dave is awesome and he's an Olympian and multimillionaire, but I'm not him. Okay. So you need to be able to just say how it makes you feel, and that could help. All right. So, second problem that you may face, your parents are never satisfied. And when you're satisfied, because I've been listening to the Hamilton soundtrack so often, it made me think of some characters that say they are never satisfied. That's good. You're pushing yourself, but maybe you feel like at home, you may do something good. Hey, I got nothing lower than a C on my grades, and for me, that's really good. Your parent says, "Well, that's not good enough. You need to be better." They're always it seems like they expect perfection from you. Why do you have parents like this? Okay, if that's the case, I know not my experience, but who knows? But I know they want the best for you. I know I want the best for my kids, and if you feel like they can grow and do better, you just sometimes it comes from motivation. And I think that a lot of these problems, yes, the people do mean well. Sorry about the camera, guys. I don't know if I should start over or not. We'll just keep going for now. Hopefully, you can still hear me. How to deal? I would just maybe be clear in terms of, no, you know what, mom, I didn't get straight A's, but remember how I used to get D's and I've gotten better? Just point out progress. Okay, progress is great, and say, yeah, I'm going to keep trying, but let's focus on what I have done so far. Okay, and maybe that will help them. Saying but this could be pretty bad because people may always feel like they're falling short of expectations, and if you feel that way, it's hard sometimes to really express your feelings to parents. But I hope you can. Okay. Number 3, what if they're just kind of annoying and embarrassing, that they say the wrong thing at the wrong time and they're just not very cool? This is a picture of Amy Poehler, an embarrassing mom from the movie Mean Girls. Maybe you've heard of that movie. She's trying to be hip and hang out with the friends, and her daughter's kind of trying to get her out of the way. So we don't really have time for it, but and I'm so sorry about the squigglies. But one of the times my mom embarrassed me the most was at a basketball game when I was in high school. And now the screen's frozen, and I don't know if you can hear me anymore. Hey, I'm back. And she was a very vocal mother. I was just telling this to somebody the other day. Often could hear her even on the football field. When we watch game film later, I can hear her in the stands. And my friends are like, "Hey, there's your mom." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, it was fun." But one time at a basketball game, it was pretty intense, and there was a lot of people there back in the pre-COVID days, and it got quiet in the crowd for a second, and I hadn't been playing super well, and she said my name and said, "Tyler," screamed it. Pull your head out of your but she didn't say but, and so I remember like, oh, that I heard that, and I was very embarrassed. Okay, again, why? I think she just wanted to motivate me, wanted to know what's best. If they're kind of hanging around your friends and trying to act like they're in their business, you know what? I think they want to be in your life, and they can feel that pulling away that you have going on as you spend more time with friends. They're starting to feel like they don't get to see you much anymore. So one way to deal with that is like, just know, yeah, they mean well. So what if they're a little embarrassing? But maybe just keep them in the loop and let them know what's going on in your life. Because I've heard, and my oldest is not a teenager, that can start to feel like you don't get to see them or know them very well. And then if they really are like, hey, we're watching a movie with my friends and they want to hang out on the couch, again, assertively, kindly say, yeah, Mom, I love you, but I'd rather maybe spend time with you later if that's what makes you more comfortable. Okay. 4, what if you've got helicopter parents? If you don't know that term, it's just they're always hovering around you, trying to get stuff out of your way and try to keep an eye on you. And they just, too many rules. Everything has a rule. You have to be home by this time. You can't do that. You can't hang out with this person, and you have very little freedom. Okay. Why do they do that? I would remind you that if you are lucky enough, and it is a lucky thing, it is nice to have this. If you've got 2 folks at home that care for you as opposed to 1, that's great. But if you add up their ages and then don't, maybe your mom doesn't want you to ask her how old she is, but if you add those together as opposed to the years that you've spent on Earth, they have a bit more life experience than you. And so they could see maybe the path that you're going down, and they want to warn you of that. It's natural. They just don't want to see you get hurt. So I didn't even change that part right there. But what I would say here on the how to deal part, I apologize, is I've told you before, if you want your parents to trust you more, it reminds me of playing time in sports. So if you get like 1 play a game or in practice, make the most of it. And the coach will probably give you 2 plays or 10 minutes to play next time, and just make the most of them. So if you get 5 minutes to be at home alone, do a good job and be responsible, you may get 10. If you get to go out with your friends once a month and you're responsible and do the things that they expect of you, you might get to go out more often. All right. So I would tell you that, yes, some parents do go a little far, but earn their trust, and it'll probably be a little bit better. And then maybe even ask them, what makes you so worried about this particular thing? So this is a quote from Sean. If you had to choose, don't you think you'd rather have parents that seem to care too much than parents who don't seem to care at all? When I was your age as a middle schooler, I may have answered like, oh no, it'd be so cool to have freedom all the time. I have no idea if the audio is still working, and I don't really want to refilm this guy. So we will see. But I know in hindsight, when you grow up, eventually you're going to want parents that are there for you. Okay. And going on your own may seem fun. It reminds me like those Home Alone movies. Sure, Kevin, well, my face is going crazy. Kevin has a good old time, but he probably couldn't have subsisted on that forever, couldn't have continued. Just a little bit left. I'll push through this and hope the audio stays good. I may have to refilm this. So number 5, my parents are always fighting. I told you some of these are a bit more serious than others. So what's the problem? People fight in different ways. There may be screaming, yelling, hopefully not any physical confrontation. And some parents just kind of give each other the silent treatment when they're married. So you can, as kids, feel that tension. Okay. As a child of divorce, my parents weren't necessarily yellers, but there was a lot of tension at times. So, but why does this happen? It's not fair for you, and it isn't your fault. But marriage is a lot of work, and both sides really have to work at it to make it happen. And kids can be more stressful, okay, because they might have different ideas about what decisions should be made. So how to deal? Just remember habit 1. Again, stay in your circle of control or influence. Don't make it worse. Try to be a peacemaker. And then if you can't be dealing with it and it's just too much, it's never a sign of weakness to ask for help. Okay. So hopefully that's not the case for you. But I would tell you this last slide here, that's supposed to be a picture whoa, man, that face looks crazy. And I don't look so good. I look tired and squiggly. That's a phoenix. And you may know from Harry Potter, which they didn't invent a phoenix, but it's an old mythological bird. Oh man, this is killing me with my face. Where a bird is reborn from fire and they come back stronger after they're consumed in those flames. So you may be facing what child psychologists have termed ACEs, or adverse childhood experiences. And that could be divorce, certainly, abuse of some kind, substance abuse, incarceration from a parent. If that's something you're dealing with, my heart goes out to you. Okay, there's a reason adverse means they're just kind of difficult, but they're also traumatic and they're really, really challenging. And if you've gone through this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you're in the middle of it right now, my heart sincerely goes out to you. But like the phoenix, someday you may be able to rise from the ashes of that. And your parents and your family upbringing, if you don't love the environment in your house, eventually you can create your own home. Okay. And so if you have more than just minor annoyance problems, you've got big problems with your parents, again, ask for help if you need it, but know that it won't, you can rise above that if you need to. All right. Final quote. I looked for something profound. Holy cow, that made my forehead huge and even more bald than I already am. I couldn't find any great ones. There was quotes about parents aren't perfect, but I watch a lot of Mickey Mouse stuff in my house. And around Christmas time, my son, and that's all we watched. And I don't remember what goofy thing it was, but Goofy was on a Christmas type episode with his son Max, who's not always in those shows, but he is sometimes. And Max was trying to get him a present, and his dad wouldn't tell him what it was. And eventually his dad just said, all I want, and I'm paraphrasing, was for you to be happy. That's all I want any year. Okay, is to see a smile on his face. And so parents are not perfect, but I do think just like 99% of you guys meet our expectations. I feel like most parents are doing their very best and in challenging situations. So give them the benefit of the doubt. Try to deal with any problems you have with some positivity. And hopefully you guys can deal with whether you have minor annoyances or major ones. You can learn to love your parents and work through any issues that you may have. So thanks for listening. Like I said, I apologize for any audio or video issues. I don't know if I'm going to have to refilm this, but hope to see you guys later. And I hope my face gets all straightened out. So see you guys.